So this is what we're going to be doing today, and it kind of looks like this when it's done. But let me discuss to you first what we're going to do here. So we're going to start off with the black background, which kind of looks like this, and then we're going to add in the house, and then using levels and the polygonal lasso tool, we're going to darken our sky, and then darken again the whole thing to make it look more like the nighttime. And then we're going to paint some light reflections onto the grass, and then we're also going to paint where the windows are. We're going to paint and simulate light coming from the house. And then after that's done, we're going to create the light beams, light coming out of the house. And then once we've done that, we're going to add in the trees and darken the trees afterwards, and then add in the eye, then darken it a little bit to match the overall look, and then use photo filter to change the look and feel of the whole thing, the whole poster, and then add in the text. But I'm not going to discuss how to add the text because you know how to add the text already. So how do we start? Let's start off with a new layer. Again, A4, 300 pixels. Okay, we have the option to choose, white background color or transparent, but let's just start with white. And then there are many ways to change this one to a black color. We can use the gradient tool and choose black and then paint black. So that's one option, or you can use the solid color to change it to black. So I would prefer this one because I can just change it into a different color if I want to. And then afterwards, after adding the black layer using color fill or solid color, I'm going to add in the first image, the image of the house. So now that I've done that, again, if we want to resize this, we need to press Shift and use the corner handles, okay, to proportionally resize the image. But this case, we don't need resizing because it's the exact size that we want. We just need to move it down. Then once we've done that, we can commit to the change, and it will look like that. And then afterwards, we need to use levels because we want to darken. Remember the photo we adjusted a few weeks ago when we brightened it. This one, we don't need to brighten it because it's already bright. We want to darken it so that we can simulate nighttime. Okay, so we can do that by using our polygonal lasso tool. So we select polygonal lasso tool and then select the sky. Okay, so we zoom in first. Okay, we zoom in first and choose this part over here, this where the grass and the mountains meet. We need to choose or to select from there. So I'm just going to create a rough selection of the house. It doesn't really matter right now if you have selected, perfectly, because you can go ahead later on to adjust or paint. So I'm not going to be very picky or meticulous on my selection right now, but it helps if you select uh, select the right parts. I mean, select much more cleaner and much more meticulously. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to go there, select the sky. Okay, and then after that, we've now made a full selection. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and when we're done with the selection, we need to go to our layers panel and choose our levels. This will allow us to adjust the brightness of the sky. So I'm going to adjust this particular part here, which is the brightness part. Not last time we adjusted this part, okay, but we're not going to do that. We're going to adjust only this one. So we're going to lower that one a little bit, and you can see that immediately the sky has turned dark. And you can also see that we haven't properly selected or properly selected this particular part here, over here, but that's okay because we can adjust it in a little while. So once we've done that, you can see that we have indeed selected the house. So in order for us to adjust this mistake over here, we need to select our mask and then use our brush, and we're going to, of course, choose the right hardness. This one I'm going to choose somewhere a little bit over here, and I'm going to make sure that I have the white color on, and I'm going to make sure that my mode is normal, the opacity is just right. Again, you can adjust this to your liking so that you can edit properly. So I'm going to paint there. Now remember, if you painted black, something like that, if you made a mistake, just change the color into the other color, which is white. So you can go back and paint. So this is how you fix those mistakes. So again, not too meticulous about it, because later on this will all be much darker and people won't notice as much. Okay, so we can do that. We can make our brush bigger, and we can make our brush a little bit more soft. Okay, just to make it look more natural. So again, so just say for example that this is done. We have successfully adjusted the mistakes. Say for example we've done that. We're going to again add another levels and darken the whole image so that they would match up to the real thing, which is the night time. So we've done that. The next thing that we're going to do is to put on the lights on the windows and the light beam. So we can do that by again creating a layer and painting on that layer, or we can do that with the solid color. So let me start with the lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool, and then we can zoom in. Okay, polygonal lasso tool. Again, if it's you can always zoom in. So I'm going to select just the part where I think light should be there, and then pressing your shift to select or to add into the selection. So again, please select only the part where you think light should be there. So say for example, you have done that. Again, you can use your new layer, to use the paint bucket tool and paint the color yellow to simulate, light. You can do that with, a new layer, okay? Or you can also do that with, let me delete this layer, or you can also do that with solid color, okay? Solid color. And the good thing about solid colors is that you can always, choose a different color, okay? But for this one, I'm just going to choose this particular color. Okay, now that we've done that, okay, we can now add in the light beams, or we can paint in the grass. So let's start with painting the grass. We need a soft brush and a very, very low opacity. Let me zoom in. And low opacity, maybe something there and something there. And then paint into the grass so that it looks like, I think this one is too much. So the flow should be very small. So just paint where you think light should be. If you think the opacity is too high, again, adjust. Okay, so you have something like that. Again, you can lower the opacity of this particular layer. Lower the opacity if it's too much. Okay, so I'm going to stick to maybe 62. Okay, or maybe more. Okay, depending on how it looks to you. Then afterwards, again, you can add one more or a few more layers to add in the light beams. Now with this light beam, again, using the polygonal lasso tool, you select the part where you think the light beams would go. So I'm going to select a sort of a uneven rectangle, something like this. I think it's called a trapezoid or something like that. Once you've selected that, okay, make sure that you don't go outside of the window, okay, not longer than the window or higher than the window. And then using your gradient tool, we're going to paint yellow from the right side outside this selection into near the edge of the other side of this selection. So just like what we did before, gradient tool, okay, make sure that your colors are right. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to select the second option, which is yellow, and then transparent, and then linear, of course, normal mode, and then opacity 100. You can play around with the opacity also if you want to. And then, okay, we select outside of our selection on the right hand side, and then we go ahead and drag into the selection, but not outside of the selection, just close to the edge. Okay, and then we get our light beams. Okay, so please do not go outside like this, just go close to the edge. Okay, and then once we've done that, we can again create another selection. Okay, let's first create another layer for that. Okay, create a layer for that, and then click another selection, maybe a little bit short, okay, and a little bit taller. So we can have that, and then using our gradient tool, we can again paint like that. Okay, now you're going to do 4 of these. Okay, 1 for each window. Okay, now you have to identify how the light beams would look like, because it all depends on how you want it to look. Okay, so 4 of these, four light beams. So once we've done all the light beams, the beauty of creating layers is that you can always adjust how your layers look like. In this case, our layer 2 is way too strong or too much. We can always adjust the opacity of that particular layer. I'm going to adjust it to maybe around 40. And then let's have a look. Okay, if it's too much, of course you can always lower it down. The same thing with the other one. Okay, so it looks something like this. Again, you need to draw 4 of these. I'm just showing you 2 because we don't have much time. I don't have much space on my computer right now to do exactly all of these things. But anyway, once that's done, we can now add in the image of the trees, the forest. Okay, so let's add that in. File, place, and then trees. Let's put it in. Again, we don't need to resize this one because it's just the exact size that we wanted it to be. So let's commit to the change, and once we've done that, we can add in a mask to this particular layer. And then with this mask, we can paint using our the brush so that we can hide the bottom part. So I'm going to increase my opacity, okay, and my flow for this particular brush. I'm going to paint black, okay, and then I'm going to paint somewhere there using a not too hard brush. Then I'm going to do that a few more times until I can only see the top part of the trees. And then because this is way too much, I'm going to darken it a little bit. But for this particular case, we're actually going to press Option or alternate on our keyboard and then choose levels. Okay, so Option, select, so that we can use clippings. Okay, we can only adjust this particular layer and not other layers. So we click that, click OK, and then we get our levels. We can adjust only that particular image and not the other image. So it will look something like this. You will see an arrow going downwards, which means that this particular level or levels is only adjusting this particular part. We can also, if we did not catch the way it was done, we can also just press Option and click between the 2 layers. We can do that. If we did not catch that, we can do it this way. Okay, press Option and then go ahead and go between the 2 layers and click, and it will apply this particular adjustment layer, this levels, to the layer just below it and not the other layers all the way below. So it looks like that. Again, the beauty of having layers is that we can always adjust furthermore. Okay, like that. So once that is done, we can always can always adjust the, again, we can always adjust the other layers if we want to, if it doesn't fit what we intended it to be. So I'm going to adjust this one a little bit more. So say for example we've done that, we can add in the other image, this time the image of the eye, but this particular case, the eye is way too big, so we need to adjust it, again pressing shift on our keyboard and then placing it just about there. Okay, and then we click commit, and then we use our mask for this particular image, and we brush away the unwanted parts. Okay, this is way too much, so I'm going to adjust my opacity, okay, and my flow so that it would look much more realistic. We don't want the edges to be seen. Okay, and it should look something like should look something like this. Now, as you can see, the sky is still pretty much very visible. So again, using our mask tool, we can go back to our house layer, and then we can add in our mask for that particular layer, and then brush away so that people won't notice the edge. Okay, we can go ahead and do something like that if it's way too much. So once we've done that, we're almost finished. We can again add a photo filter. We can use photo filter from here by choosing photo filter. Okay, let me show you that one. Photo filter. Okay, this is a little bit different from what we did last time, but it gives the same color effect that we want. So we can adjust the density on how much we want the overall poster to get affected with this particular adjustment layer. And then we can also again choose a different filter. We have red if we want red, we have green if we want green. Kind of looks okay. The green kind of looks okay because it looks more like toxic and more futuristic, but I'm going to stick to somewhere there, deep yellow, and it all depends on how you want your final image to look like. And then once that's done, we can add in the text. So this is how it would look like. Thank you so much for your time. Have a blessed day.